I have given a name to my pain. The Batman.
Always waiting for some Batman to save you.
It's simple. We kill the Bat of Gotham.
You don't really think you'll win, do you?
I'm Batman.
Hey now, welcome to episode 29 of the Batman on Film vlog. I am the founder of Batman on Film, Bill Jett Ramey.
I have to make sure that you're joking because you're getting older and
Yes.
dementia setting in.
And of course I'm joined by Rick Shew. Hello Rick.
Hello,
How you doing?
nice football attire there.
Thank you.
You're representing Dallas Cowboys,
My
Texas
time of year.
Longhorns.
Look, this is right now when I'm usually going back to work for start football practice, so it's starting to get a little weird. I mean, the wife is still here, announcer Rachel. Jake hasn't gone back to school yet. He starts football in a couple of weeks, but so it's not completely out of what I'm used to because I'm always off. Used to being off in the summer for 6-7 weeks, but it's starting to get there where, I mean, like I told you, since I was 4 years old, I've had the same schedule, man. The same schedule. I mean,
Yeah, you went to school, went to college, and became a teacher and coach.
As a coach, yeah, and so it's going to be odd. So anyway, Batman on Film is the sponsor of, as well as a proud member of the Batman Podcast Network. Check out all the shows at batmanpodcastnetwork.com. And yes, I've got your emails. I will do a better job of downloading the audio from these vlogs and posting them as podcasts. We had a couple of shows. We had some audio issues, and I've taken care of that. So that was one of the reasons why the last couple of shows haven't been on. The last show was fine, number 28.
So this is 29.
This is 29, yes sir. Let's see, what else am I missing here? Oh, if you like what we do here at Batman on Film and want to become a patron, go to patreon.com/Batman on Film. Everything you put into the site goes right back into the site. So there you have those things. I've already introduced Rick, and we're going to talk all about Batman on Film today. Rick, not Batman on Film.
I wore my solo shirt. I thought this was a Star Wars.
No.
This is not a Star Wars show.
I wouldn't be here if it was a Star Wars show.
I was talking about Billy D. Williams in Episode 9. Clone Wars is coming back. There's new books and
Clone Wars is the animated series, right?
Yeah, I'm just kidding. It is, but
I know, but yeah, I'm just asking. Were you not into that, or what?
No, it's funny. No, but when I was doing shows when we first launched the Star Wars podcast, and people kept bringing it up, I had watched several episodes. And I just said, I need to go back and reinvest in that. And I went back and started revisiting it. Now I'm up to speed on it. Now I love it. Now I'm excited for it. I was just 5 years late. I watched a lot of Rebels, though.
Okay.
I recorded every episode of Rebels. I have all that on my DVR.
And that's another, I mean, look, I mean, other people are going,
yeah.
What? He doesn't, that's another animated
yes.
Star Wars. Okay. I mean,
But Clone Wars is the one that is everyone's excited about because it kind of ended abruptly. It's coming back. There's 12 more episodes.
Isn't Obi-Wan Kenobi in that one? And
it's basically the time period of in between like episode 2 and episode 3, and really leading up to
because Anakin is in it, right?
Anakin is still Anakin.
Okay.
At least, I mean, he's close to not being.
Yes. Okay. That was a good. I know it was a good looking animated series. It's the computer animated stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That they try to do. I mean, look, I don't know. Did you ever watch any of the Beware the Batman episodes?
No, I never did watch any of those.
Okay,
no.
That was really good, and it was computer animated. I loved it, and it got canceled, and I wish it would.
Where was that airing?
Here's the problem. It was on. Okay, I'm gonna probably get this wrong. I'll put it this way. It was on in the morning. It was a Saturday morning show, which should have been a primetime Friday night type of show. Does that make sense?
Right.
And I don't think it just never found its niche. I want to say it was Cartoon Network, which is odd because Batman Brave and the Bold, which I love, it aired Friday at 7 p.m. Central, and it was more suited for Saturday mornings. But whatever. I've got I've got the Blu-ray, so I've watched them. You need to check that out, Rick. It's really,
no, I do. I'm actually making a note of that right now.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really good. Anyway, that reminded me because of the animated stuff. All right, we're going to talk some Batman on film today. Our old friend Mario Francisco Robles from Revenge of the Fans. Well, first of all, let me preface there. Rick, did you text me and ask and say, is there something going on with Batman? This is like yesterday. Well, what was? Remember all that there was some kind. I didn't even know about it until.
I just saw a couple of tweets, and I wasn't sure if there was an announcement of anything or not.
Yeah, because there was some buzz on Twitter, right?
Right. That there was going to be an official announcement.
And I think, I think a few people who might have been privy to Mario dropping this story just said something about there's going to be some Batman news come out tomorrow. And then there were outlets who ran Warner Brothers is making a official announcement about Matt Reeves' Batman, which was complete nonsense. So I'm sure when that didn't happen, and I don't know because I don't pay attention to it. But
listen. Here's the thing. I don't think they're going to make an announcement this close to the buzz of what they just did at Comic-Con, because if they would have done it there.
I just think it was. I just think the fans all of a sudden expected it yesterday, and then it was just basically a rumor story. You know, that's not disparaging that report. And I'm sure there was some meltdowns online about that. So, not that I wouldn't duck them out, but I'm just guessing.
And the report is kind of in line with some things I've been hearing, some rumblings, and it's nothing new. It's just essentially there's going to be a younger, and I'm not taking away from his article. He did a great job with it. I'm saying that, but it's that it's going to be a younger Batman.
Okay. We know we've said that's been out on the table for a while. We know that Matt Reeves is going with a younger Batman. Apparently, in the process of writing the script, the Batman got younger. He might have been, mid-30s, and now it looks like he's a 20-ish, not 19 or 20, but it's between 25 and 30-year-old. The other thing that Mario dropped that was interesting was that we know that Jake Gyllenhaal had met with Matt Reeves, and apparently is not going to pursue that role. But Jack Houston also was one of the individuals, and there were more than just those two who met with Reeves. And he's he's like 35, so he may be aged out of what they're going to go with now. So, but I mean, again, you can tell he's looking for an actor. So,
yeah, and the Gyllenhaal stuff keeps getting brought up. That's been around a while, but it just keeps getting reinforced. The more people that solidify that. I don't call it a rumor anymore. I'm pretty confident that took place. Still, in my view, it's unfortunate that isn't like he's going to play the part. I'm Team Jake, but he's now part of the Spider-Man universe, and that's about to start filming. Yeah,
he is playing Mysterio. So, not
to say that in this day and age you can still pull it off, but it's very unlikely.
Extremely unlikely.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, not going to happen. Unlikely.
It's not going to happen.
So,
which sucks for me.
And the other bit, and there's a lot of information in Mario's report. He's also acknowledging that Warner Brothers they're shelving the Legion of Doom stuff. Walter Hamada, who is heading up DC on film at Warner Brothers, wants these films to stand on their own. There are going to be very little crossover. Interaction, cameos, all that stuff, even though technically, Aquaman, Wonder Woman 1984, Shazam exist in the same universe. Of course, Shazam is going for more of their cameos are like magazine articles and toys and collectibles and T-shirts and stuff like that, even though it's probably likely that Henry Cavill is going to do a cameo in there. And here's what, real quick before we get to the Batman stuff, Rick, and I kind of checked around. It seems like there's no rush and there's no hurry or anything to do a Man of Steel sequel or another solo Superman film. And that's where I'm kind of like, okay, then why are you having him come do this cameo if you're not really committed to doing another solo Superman film with him?
Yeah.
I mean, are they making him do it because he's technically, and maybe he's contracted to do one? I don't know. I mean, he's done 3 movies, you know. So I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. But any thoughts on that? I mean, we've kind of talked that to death. So
yeah, he better get a sequel.
It's dumb. If he doesn't get a sequel, it's dumb to have him in Shazam. Right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. We're on the same
Very
page.
much so. Yeah.
Okay. So the other part that Mario dropped regarding Batman was that, and the younger thing, and if you know, look, if you put 2 and 2 together, and this, you're going to get 4 with this, because one inspiration that Matt Reeves, or one of the inspirations that Matt Reeves is mining from for this movie, allegedly, according to the Revenge of the Fan report, is Batman Year One. And so what did a lot of people, Rick, what did they immediately jump to?
Batman Begins.
And this movie was going to be a what?
An origin story, just like Batman Begins.
Okay.
Just like a remake of Batman Begins, essentially.
Yes, essentially. No. Okay.
Can I read something?
Yes, go ahead.
I'm gonna read something. This is from our good friend Zaki Hassan. Okay, he tweeted this, and I think this is perfect. While speculation runs rampant about how much of the Batman will owe to Miller's Year One, it's worth recognizing that Matt Reeves is smart enough to know what's already been mined to death in the Bat mythos and step aside and sidestep it while still giving a compelling story of Batman's early days.
Yes. Yeah.
I think that's...
Yeah, and you know what?
I'd frame that tweet. That's perfectly stated.
And I said this as much on Twitter. I said, just because they're using part of Year One as an inspiration for some of this film does not mean origin story, guys. I mean, go back and read Year One. It's it's not about him becoming Batman. Yes, he goes out with the stocking cap and gets his ass kicked in the streets, and then the bat comes in the window. You have that stuff, but it's about
it's not about
beginning.
It's not about necessarily the how and why. It's just the adventures that take place in that first year of him being Batman.
Yeah.
Right. The story that is
Yes.
Year One. Right. Whereas Batman Begins is an origin story, and even the ramifications, the things that unfold in terms of it all comes from the League of Shadows, which is all. The genesis of all that was his origin to begin with.
Yeah.
I mean, everything in Batman Begins revolves around his origin.
Yes, there's a bit of Year One, obviously, in Batman Begins, but there's also some other stuff. There's the man who falls, him going and training throughout, traveling the world, training, Ducard, all that stuff. That wasn't in Year One. So anyway, that's younger Batman, Rick, and. What's your take? I mean, you fine with that? I mean, look, let me say this before you start. A lot of folks are saying, "Oh, I want to end the prime Batman." Why can't he be almost in his prime at 25, 26 years old? I mean, look at athletes. I mean, when are they in their prime? In their mid to late 20s?
And it goes to what kind of reality is this going to be set in? And in the Nolan verse. It was grounded in reality where Batman couldn't realistically last much longer than Christian Bale's Batman did.
He was 29 when he became Batman.
Yeah, and he was every night he went out was the equivalent of 3 seasons in the NFL. Every night. Yeah. So it just sort of depends on how you want to frame this and what prime means. So I don't know exactly what route he's taking. But I have a lot of faith. I just watched his last Apes movie a couple weeks ago, and I have all the confidence in the world in Matt Reeves. Now, who I don't have the confidence in necessarily, I don't mean this to be rude, but is the studio themselves. As long as they let him do what he wants to do, we're in good hands, and I'm going to just trust whatever route he takes.
Well, that's supposedly what made him sign on, because he walked away from it at first, and then. They sweeten the pot, if you will, and
obviously it'll be very telling if we look up and he's gone for some reason.
Yeah,
that'll not be good.
That would be a disaster.
That would be a disaster.
If Matt Reeves, I'm going to say this right now, I probably said it before, I know Rick and I have talked about it. If Matt Reeves walks from this project and this movie doesn't get made, that's an absolute disaster for Warner Brothers and for Batman on film. Not the website, the franchise, period.
Batman in cinema.
Yes.
Yes.
We don't want him to leave.
No, we don't.
You know, and I'm hoping this thing comes to fruition. So let's say it comes to fruition, Rick. And I wrote a piece yesterday about, okay, let's assume, for all intents and purposes, Ben Affleck, he gone. Matt Reeves' Batman is younger. He's 25, between 25 and 30, 25 to 29, somewhere in there. Obviously, you're getting a different actor. Now, it can be a prequel. It can be its own thing, right?
And let's explore that for a moment.
Yeah.
A prequel indicates that you're going to have the same cast members that surround this particular actor,
Well,
very much like you did.
Yeah, Batman Forever.
Just like you did in Batman Forever, coming out of the Tim Burton films. The difference, that was an ongoing continuity. This would be the same kind of thing, but it would be before the events of B versus S in Justice League. And then it's, in essence, in the same universe, but it's stories being told before the events of those films took place. Or it's just a whole brand new thing. There's a brand new car, there's a brand new Alfred, there's a brand new universe, and none of that stuff exists.
Maybe it's both, and you just don't. You just make it, and it just is, you know. And
you Frasier it,
yeah,
in a sense.
Mean,
well, regardless, those are the two routes that they can take.
Yes.
And so if it's a reboot or if it's a soft reboot or however you want to phrase it.
Yeah.
The bottom line is, I'm pretty confident that this film's going to take place before these events, and that's if those events exist at all in this universe. Now, go ahead. To your article, let's assume that it's a complete reboot. Okay. I'm personally hoping, this is my personal thing. Nothing against you if you disagree with this. I don't have, this is not a right or wrong. I want that personally.
I do too. That's what I prefer.
Yeah, for sure. Now, some don't. That's fine. That's just not what I want. So your article was basically stating that, okay, so let's assume it's a complete reboot. Mm-hmm. Can Batman still exist in these films? Now, obviously in Shazam...
Well, let's talk about what these... We're talking about Wonder Woman 1984, which he would probably be a child, and maybe the Waynes aren't even dead in 1984. I mean...
Right.
I mean, I'll have to go look at the...
Whether it's Aquaman or a Flash film or Man of Steel 2.
Yes.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
Batman exists. Yes. Okay, and he exists because he exists already in Shazam. That's Ben Affleck's Batman Batarang.
Batarang, yes.
Ben Affleck's Batman was in Metropolis as the events unfolded between Superman and Zod. Mm-hmm. He's there. Now, we're not going to I seriously doubt Ben Affleck has a cameo in Shazam. I would be shocked.
No.
Henry Cavill, on the other hand, I can almost put money on it. We're going to see Superman in that movie, which is fine. But Ben Affleck's Batman does exist. So they can carry that same spirit on in these other films while Matt Reeves does his own Batman universe. Batman is there. He's just sort of alluded to.
He is in the periphery.
He's in the periphery.
He doesn't have to show up.
Right.
He doesn't have to cameo. He can be mentioned, as can Gotham and all of that stuff. They
did that in the Joel Schumacher films.
Yes.
The circus must be halfway to Metropolis by now. Oh no, right on the nose in Batman and Robin. Yeah. This is why Superman works alone.
Yes, and you know that Superman's in that world, but
you're not going to see him. I think that's very similar to this, and that's probably the route they're going to go. Whether or not Ben Affleck ever does come back for some reason somehow, and that other Batman exists, look. Stranger things are happening, so I wouldn't be surprised either way. But I think that's the route that's probably going to take place, and I'm okay with this because we talked about this on the phone yesterday. If Matt Reeves does reboot completely Batman, and this old school DCU, whatever you want to call it now, that carries on in Man of Steel, in Birds of Prey, Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, etc. Well, not only does that Batman exist, but that Jared Leto Joker exists, okay? Whether or not we see him again, whatever, he exists.
He exists.
So now we're going to have a Joaquin Phoenix standalone Joker that has nothing to do with anything, including Matt Reeves' film. And then we're going to have a Matt Reeves Batman universe, and there's a Joker that's going to be in it again. Even if he does a trilogy, regardless if he uses them, he exists.
Yeah.
And we're going to have Jared Leto's Joker. We are in essence going to have 3 cinematic Jokers that exist at once, very likely,
Yes.
which is pretty mind-boggling.
And
so, if that's the case,
of course, two could be in the periphery,
right?
You know, Joaquin Phoenix's deal is a one-off, so. You know.
I bet you we see a Jared Leto Joker again, though. Whether Jared Leto does it or not remains to be seen. But I mean, I don't know. I say that, but if they continue with Harley, it's
you don't have to have. I mean, look,
you don't have to.
Let's focus on this because this was what was brought up. Well, what about Birds of Prey? It's got to be. It's a bunch of Batman characters. Yeah, absolutely, it is. You don't have to have Batman in the movie,
right?
Physically in the movie, he doesn't have to be in it. You know. It's the same thing. He's there. He exists. If it's set in Gotham, he exists, but he's in the periphery. He can be mentioned, you know? But you don't have to have Ben Affleck's Batman cameo like he did in Suicide Squad.
We don't see Aquaman or the Flash in Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
And I know that you could argue, well, at the post-credit scene, it's obviously Bruce is going to set up the Justice League. Yeah, but they exist. They were in BVS. We saw them. We physically saw them in that movie.
And that was a completely different. The goal was completely different at Warner Brothers for DC on film at that point when Suicide Squad came out. Of course, it was kind of changing after BVS came out, but Suicide Squad came out 5 months later or whatever it was, and there was no time to. And then, of course, they did. They didn't make a lot of changes to it, but anyway, you know what I'm getting to. Justice League was coming no matter what, so they're still trying to build. They were still trying to build it up, and Suicide Squad as well with that post-credit scene with Bruce Wayne and Amanda Waller. So, but yeah, I don't think it matters what film, even Birds of Prey, which would be a Batman universe sector film of the DC on film universe, whatever. I'm getting so many universes and subsections of universes and all this, but again, he exists in the periphery. I think that's the way you go with this Batman for as long as you need to, because they are kind of soft rebooting as they go and kind of forgetting about some things or ignoring things, even though they technically happened. May never mention them again. I don't think we'll mention anything about Justice League again. You think they're going to mention Superman dying again?
No, and in fact, if they make a Man of Steel 2, I think that Superman, I'd be surprised if they did. It's too complicated anyway. It was already established at the end of Justice League that it's implied that he's back as Clark Kent at the Daily Planet anyway. You see him, and he opens this, that's a great shot in that movie to give that scene credit. Right. I wouldn't even care if Jimmy Olsen popped up in Man of Steel 2. I would just out of sight, out of mind.
Just make the movie and
just make the movie.
Don't worry about it. Yeah. Don't even worry about it.
Right.
Don't even worry about it. You know. So that's my take on it. That we'll continue to see a peripheral version of this Batman in anything that is DC Universe proper that's supposed to be connected, but there's not going to be a huge amount. They're going to be beating people over the head continuity-wise and sprinkling in cameos and setting up other films. They said this, people. It's not just me or Rick giving our opinion. They said this. We're not making movies to advertise another movie. Okay? They said this. So, any final thoughts on this short conversation, Rick?
I want, just like every other fan, I'm dying for some news on Batman, but I realize that that's probably not going to happen. You think we'll get news this year?
Look, Rick, think about this. I know it's odd, but
it's already July.
We're clamoring for this news, but it hasn't even been a year since the last time Batman has been in a live-action film.
No.
It's not even been a year.
Right.
And let's, for all intents and purposes, Ben Affleck in Batman was the star of Justice League. Would you agree with that? He was the main character.
Yes.
Yeah. So it was a Batman film with Batman first and up front and center.
Yeah, and most of the marketing.
It's not even been a year.
No, it hasn't. But the reality is we have a director that's signed on. We have at least part of his script that's been submitted. And so people just kind of want to know just what's the plan, what's going on. And I get that, so do I. But I don't want them to rush this thing either.
Yes, I don't either. Let me ask you this, and we'll move on the hell out of here. Is Batfleck in the peripheral? Is that enough to satisfy the fans who want and need, in some cases, these cameos in these films to very much be connected? Is that enough?
I can't get inside anybody's head. Well, here's what I'll say: if Matt Reeves' Batman comes out and it's as good as I think it's going to be, nobody's going to give a damn.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Period. No one's going to care. Not the most. I want an extended universe. I want the Bat family on screen person. That movie comes out and knocks our socks off. They're not going to care.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, it's.
So there's a lot of pressure on Matt Reeves because, quite frankly, he does need to deliver on this film.
Yeah. I mean
there's no doubt about it.
The only reason that's when someone brought up, about the periphery and what if such and such. Well, the bottom line is here. What I'm getting to is, Rick, that the only reason that you don't have him on the periphery and you have him physically is if you're building up to another team up, i.e. Justice League 2. That ain't happening. Not anytime soon. It's not even on the near horizon in planning at Warner Brothers to do another team up film. They're not making Wonder Woman 1984 is not going to help set up something in the future. Same from Aquaman.
I like Patty Jenkins and Gal's whole perspective on this film, even in relation to the first one, much less the larger universe and Justice League 2. I don't have the quote in front of me. I don't pull it up right now and take up screen time for this, but they essentially were saying that, look, this is not even we're not even looking at this thing as a sequel. I mean, it's truly a standalone, its own thing movie, even coming from the first one.
Think about it. Like I said, I mean, it's set in 1984. Bruce Wayne is a child, and we wouldn't even know, like I said, if the Waynes have been killed yet. Henry Cavill, his Superman, Kal-El from Krypton, hasn't even been born, probably.
No.
In 1984. Much less...
That's weird to say, isn't it?
much less... I graduated high school in 1984. Much less rocket...
I was in fifth grade.
Put in a rocket ship and sent to Earth from Krypton and adopted by the Kents. So that's, you know what? I'm going to watch Man of Steel today. I like that movie. I'm sorry. I just reminded me of
I do too. And I always say this, I give BVS credit, is that my main issues with Man of Steel towards the end are kind of like retroactively resolved because of the beginning of BVS, which I think the beginning of Batman vs. Superman is freaking awesome.
Yeah.
And
awesome.
So yeah, dude, come on, man. When Bruce runs into Metropolis, I'm talking about that whole scene.
There's some awesome moments in BVS.
And he grabs that girl.
They're not extendedly awesome.
I'm talking about the opening scene.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great
taking it as a scene. Yes, all that very well made.
Yes,
and it's Ben Affleck's at his best in that. It's great. Yeah, it's my second favorite Bruce Wayne moment on screen, dude. When he runs into Armageddon to save people without even hesitating.
It is.
The only other Bruce Wayne scene that's on in live action I like more than that is Bruce climbing out of the pit and rises.
It's a good one.
It's a good one. So, again, give credit where credit is due, but I just like the way they retroactively addressed that. That whole thing was a little bit too gratuitous, and I always thought, well, Superman's letting too many people die. Well, guess who agrees with me? Bruce Wayne. Right?
That's my only quibble with Man of Steel is that third act went on too long, and there was like a little bit way too much destruction. I get it. I get the whole...
That's what happened.
This what would happen. Yes, I get it.
But... he could have flown somewhere that Zod would have followed him anywhere. Like, couldn't he have taken him off?
Well, I think Zod's plan was to take out Metropolis and everything that he cared about. So
sure,
if Superman left,
and that's a fair thing. And that's why
Zod would have stayed and done worse to Metropolis. That's my take on it.
It feels weird to talk about it out loud because I used to borderline hate the third act.
Yeah.
Then I started to kind of warm up to it, and now I kind of love it. I do the rest of the movie. So, but even the scene where he snaps his neck and people talk about that all the time. I'm like, look, the only canon in Superman 2 is the Richard Lester theatrical release, not the Richard Donner version, not the ABC made-for-TV version, because those have different endings. They vary. In Superman 2, the canon, and in Superman, he squashes his hand and does like irreparable nerve and bone damage, throws him into a pit that sounds like it's bottomless, which would have killed him, and if it's not, at the very best, he's down there starving to death.
Well, or freezing to death, because he's in Antarctica or wherever, North Pole, wherever in the hell.
And meanwhile, you have John Williams' beautiful score soaring in the background, like this is some historic moment.
Everybody was
yay! And then you think about how much worse that actually is than just a quick snap in the neck to save a family that's against the wall about to be killed. Dun, 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 dun. I'm going to murder this mortal. Superman's a murderer. Well, he's Superman 2.
They all got thrown down in there, didn't they?
They all did.
That Lois punched Ursa.
You know what? You're a real pain in the neck.
Yeah.
Great Mario Kidder moment, too.
When he crushed Zod's hand and threw him I was in the audience, and I cheered that.
Yes.
And so did everyone else.
Think about how effed up it is when you really think about it. And then juxtapose that with the end of Man of Steel. Man of Steel is a walk in the park, man.
Yeah.
Because Zod didn't suffer, and at least he was saving lives by doing it.
There you go.
Snyder talked Nolan into that, as I understand it, right?
Yeah.
He was hesitant. He's like, you can't have him do that. Yeah.
Yeah, we just
and Cavill does agree.
Changed the way you looked at Superman 2 and the end of Man of Steel.
And I'll argue with anybody about that.
Yeah.
Like don't bullshit me about Superman 2. It's one of my favorite movies.
It is a good one.
Yeah, it's so good.
Those first two I love.
And I got to be honest with you. I'll just say this and I'll shut up. Look, I love Richard Donner. We wouldn't have had those films without him. But when I see that director's cut, I'm like, I like the changes Richard Lester made. I just do.
Well, and it's also. Look, it wasn't like unfinished stuff that they finished and made a complete film. They took in there's parts of it are freaking screen test stuff.
But I'm talking about a good example, Niagara Falls.
Yeah.
And she jumps in to prove that he's not, and he's trying to figure out how to save her, and he gets the tree limb down for her to grab. All that stuff is way better than her jumping out of a window, and then him running downstairs at the Daily Planet and forget what he does, but he ends up pulls some kind of tarp or something that catches her from hitting the pavement. It's remarkably better. Yeah. Yes. And the problem with Richard Lester is that he did a great job coming in and finishing up Superman 2 and making some changes that just made the film lighter, better, flows better. But once the Three Musketeers director had full reign of a movie, you get Superman 3, which, like the aforementioned Zachy, he and I will defend that movie because it's nostalgic for it, so we love it. But Superman 3 is not a good movie.
No, it's not.
I still love it. I recognize that it's garbage that I love, but that's just a goofy slapstick film, and that's Richard Lester. Anyway, just a little insight there.
Didn't he direct A Hard Day's Night too?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, let's go. Let's get out of here.
All right.
Plug.
We're doing the Dark Knight podcast Saturday, which today is Thursday, so we're recording that this weekend, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. 2 days from now.
Be on the lookout for that. Follow me on Twitter, SheRick.
Yeah, I believe that Justin and Ryan want you all out there to send in questions. Right, Rick? For the Dark Knight?
Yeah, if you have anything related to the Dark Knight that you want to ask, really specifically Bill about, because he did set visits and he was press junket and he was very much in the know of that film and interacted with the cast and crew. Send questions to Bill. Ask him some specific questions about his experience, whether it was how he felt when he saw it, or a set visit, or a press junket, or interviewing Chris Nolan, or talking to Gary Oldman, or whatever. I think that'd be really cool for the podcast.
You can post them in the comments here, down below. You can email them to me at jet@batman-on-film.com, or Rick, or Justin, or Ryan, Twitter it, whatever. Get them out there. If you have a question, we're going to talk Dark Knight. Speaking of Dark Knight, I am going to New York. That's for sure now, to see the 10th anniversary screening in 70 millimeter IMAX at the AMC Lincoln Square on August 25th. Eric Holzman and Pete Vera will be there, and I think lots of BOFers have let me know that they are going to attend, and that's going to be
Is our boy Mario going to be there?
Mario is not going to be there, and I had talked to him. By the time he went to get tickets, sold out.
Gone. Sold out.
Yeah, I think the only tickets they may have a couple left. There's like very front row of IMAX. You don't want to sit in very front row and watch an IMAX. So
no,
that's going to be fun. So follow me at Batman on Film. I think am I missing something here, Rick? Something coming up on Batman on Film. No, okay.
Just our 20-minute closing like we always do.
Yeah, just check. Well, good. They love that witty banter, the ending and beginning witty banter. It's the best part of the podcast or vlog. All right, let's get out of here. All right, Batman on Film, authoritative, definitive,
and the dadgum original.
Yes, that too.
All right.
We will catch you next time. Thanks for watching.